Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, viewer, wherever you may happen to be. Russian Napoleonic army this time, following on from the Austrians yesterday. Just a couple of quick points, discussion points before we have a closer look at the miniatures in front of us. Try and steer clear of politics, but look, like everyone, yes, the fact that I have a nice Russian army does not mean I endorse or agree or am not terribly saddened and perhaps even a little afraid of what's happening in the Ukraine. Not to mention the fact that over in my side of the world, China seems to be, for whatever reason, being more and more aggressive. Just this morning, we woke up and found out that a Chinese fighter plane flew quite close to a Australian helicopter, dropped flares in front of it, causing the helicopter to take evasive action. Quite serious by the sound of it. No one hurt, thankfully. So yeah, I do fear for the human species. Anyway, but enough of that. But no, just because I'm showing a Russian army, it's got no political idea behind it. Also, YouTube. Why am I even putting videos up on YouTube? Indeed, why am I presenting to you a 15mm army that clearly isn't quite finished? A lot of the basing needs to be done. There are some figures that need to be built to finish off the army, etc., etc. Now the answer is fairly simple. For me, it's to simply make contact with like-minded enthusiasts. I enjoyed and continue to enjoy other people's work. I couldn't care less about subscribers. Couldn't care less. I like to respond to comments. I know a lot of you are trying to get your numbers up, and you say like and subscribe, and look, if that's your thing, by all means. But it's not what I'm about. For me, it's almost like attending a local club. There are a few people on YouTube that I like to comment on their videos, and we almost have a bit of a chat at times. And also, of course, these are 15mm, not 28mm, so they definitely lack the popularity, oomph, or the visual appeal of their bigger cousins. But I've found in my short journey on YouTube that there must be a few people out there that like 15mm, because although my painting and skills is nothing like the talent of, say, a Gareth Evans or a Ralph Astley or dozens of others, you know who you are, the videos I do on the 15mm seem to be very popular. Anyway, enough of that hooey. So what have we got here? Just like the Austrians, I'm going to try and include some allies, in this case Swedish army, Bernadotte, Army of the North. Now, as you can see, I've got obviously 2 units of infantry there. Now, what they're composed of generally, let's have one here. Put this down, see if I can get this to focus a bit. Figure on the end here, Naismith, remember them? A little bit shorter, but they actually did Swedes. Second generation minifigs did not do Swedes, but I've read that late war Swedes swapped their traditional headdress for the Russian kiwa. So I've used a few of those. At the back here, that's actually a chariot miniature Austrian landwehr, but again with a simple paint conversion. Makes quite a nice Swede. And I tried third generation minifig. Hang on. Sorry, terrible camera work again. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Cecil B. DeMille, I ain't. This is the third generation figure here, with some chariot miniatures. Now, because he's sort of lunging forward as their advancing pose is in third generation is, height-wise, he's actually not too bad to the second gen minifig. If he actually stood up, he'd be a lot taller. But a big problem is, and as I say, this was probably more realistic. You'll notice I've cut off the bayonet off the end of that. The bayonet would have come out at least another centimetre. And combined with the lunging forward pose, this is the third gen figures here. You can imagine with the lunging forward pose, the bayonet stuck out a mile, and trying to rank them up was well nigh impossible. But yeah, a bit of creative cutting there to make some Swedes. Now I've got, obviously, as I say, 2 units of Swedish infantry there. These ones here, I'm not sure whether they're Naismith or Roundway. I think they might be Naismith. I have got some Roundway figures. They only had a small selection, but they did match up to the minifig quite well. From memory, Roundway did 1809. They did French, Russians and Austrians, I think, from memory. But specifically for the 1809 period, and I'll show you a couple of those figures in a minute. I have got some bags here. I can do one more unit of Swedes to make that 3. But I'm just wondering, right down the far end there, I've got, let's keep going. I've actually got, that's 232 unit of actual Russian minifig advancing, and a 32 unit of Russian minifig march attack. I'm wondering whether I perhaps should use these two, just paint them up as Russians, and so I'll try not to make you too seasick, combine them to make a 4 infantry unit, lack of a better expression, corps over there. Anyway, moving right along, there's your Russian generals. Russian light infantry, obviously Cossacks at the back, not Cossacks, Hussars, Cossacks, and then mounted Yagers. Moving along, a couple of units of Cuirassier, some dragoons there. This part here I'm still working on. They've started out as horse guard dragoons there, and they were some sort of guard or lifeguard or something like that there. They'll get swapped out for some proper cuirassiers, which I'll probably order from Essex. Just here, my version of the Russian Guard. Now you'll notice I've got 2 lots of Pavlovs. Possibly eventually I'll replace one of the flag bearers with just a drummer or something like that, and we shall, bit of imagination if you do this. Okay, and then at the back, 32 unit, which will be sort of like these guys, but with the, the standard headdress. So I'll have a 3 infantry unit guard for Russians. As I said, now the Russians did actually have guard cavalry. And as you can see there, I've got some cuirassiers and some hussars. Again, making up my mind in the grand scheme of things. Do I want to expand that to 24 figures? So I've got a 12 unit of guard or elite heavy cavalry and a guard elite light cavalry unit of 12. Moving right along, the usual culprits, Jagers, and then line infantry here, skirmishers out the front, artillery. These guys here, I'm pretty sure they're chariot miniatures, again, and the gunners actually put my tongue back in, match reasonably well with the minifig. But look at the size of that's meant to be a medium gun. Look at the size of that. So I'm going to get some Essex Russian medium artillery, see if they can't be a better fit. I'm reasonably confident that these are actual minifig second generation 12-pounder Russian cannon. Reasonably confident of that. You can see there the difference is enormous. So yeah, your bog standard infantry there. And then, as I say, over here, what sort of combination of that I use for the Swedes. And here, even here, I've got some spare. I've got 16 spare chariot Russian musketeers. These are 16 chariot Russian skirmishers. So I could even make a unit of 32 if I combine them, but they're not essential. I will need to use 2 of something over here or at least 1 to finish off those Swedes over there. Okay, so just a quick flyover. And as I say, look, they're 15 mil. They're not 28 mil. Obviously, I haven't finished the basing, etc., etc. But these 15, the most popular video I've ever done, I think, is one of the worst I ever did, and that was on the 15 mil Napoleonic count. So there you go. That's why I'm putting these up. Okay, I think that's everything. Yeah. So I am slowly but surely getting there. I won't talk about my plans because every time I do that, life gets in the way, and I become a bit of a, what's the expression, Indian giver, or I say I'm going to do XXXX and nothing actually happens. So watch this space. If it happens, it'll be on my channel. All right, I'll stop making you all seasick. Thank you for watching. Hope it's all going well for you wherever you are, and hopefully talk to you again soon with a bit more progress. Oops, bye for now.